Well, it won't be long before family and friends gather around the table to feast on turkey, oyster stuffing, sweet potatoes, corn pudding, and all the other fixins you've come to expect on this special day of thanks. Then there's the not so great stuff that can happen during the holidays.
Like when your mother-in-law reaches over your plate to grab another helping of potatoes.
Exactly.
Maybe when Uncle Clem says he's not going to talk about politics, and then he doesn't talk about politics.
Oh, that is a good one.
And then there's Cousin George's kids who start eating with. Is that the kind of?
That is exactly the kind of stuff
Just making
we're
sure I was
talking
on the same
about
page.
that. And that's why we thought it would be a good time to brush up on our holiday etiquette. And who better to help us with that than our good friend and etiquette expert, Grace Foxwell Murdock. Grace, always good to see you.
Delightful to be here.
Yes.
Yes.
So is etiquette really, is it still a thing? I mean, we should be practicing it, shouldn't we?
You're right. And we have had the shift to a very casual society, and we get that. However, there is hope for etiquette because you want to pass it down to your children, to your grandchildren, and when they enter the work world, when these youngsters go into the work world, there could be times when they are asked to go to a dinner or host a luncheon, and they're going to need to know some of these etiquette tips.
Sure.
Well, since you've mentioned that, let's start at the dinner table. What kind of things do we need to keep in mind?
Well, they are the usual things. For instance, don't chew with your mouth open. Always close your mouth. Take small bites so when someone asks you a question, you will have time to swallow and answer the question. Your napkin goes in your lap as soon as you sit down. You fold it a certain way. You dab, you don't wipe. It's not a washcloth. No elbows on the table, except it is allowed during different courses. You're certainly able to rest your arms on the table, but when the course comes, your left hand or your non-dominant hand goes in your lap, and then you are eating with your other hand. So,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
typical things.
So I guess when it comes to the kids, it's a good idea to remind them before they get to the table.
Yes, and this is a perfect time to talk about etiquette and manners with them prior to the meals, because you do not want to be correcting your children, even adult children, during the meal, because then that exposes them, makes them feel badly. So practice now. Involve the children. I brought some things that the kids could do before the meal is served. For instance, you could make place cards for the guests who are coming. They can decorate them. All you need is some cardstock, cut it out, and let them decorate it for all the people. You can also use those little holders to show what you're having for your meal, because if somebody has a nut allergy, you want them to know what's in the meals. Another thing is when you're inviting people or your family, even friends, you want to know if they have any allergies now. That is a thing.
That is a thing.
So you want to keep everyone safe. Have some special things out for the kids to do. The more you involve them, setting the table is a good thing. The more you involve them, then they're invested in the meal and they know how to act better. One thing my mother always did was she would invite a friend or a cousin to our table, because it helped the children act better if there was someone different at the table. So, so that's a good tip.
Yeah. All right. Dinner conversation.
Oh my. You can get into trouble really fast. One of the things in my age group, what happens is people are having a lot of doctor's visits and they want to talk about their health. And that really is not something that maybe everyone wants to hear about. So you want to keep that off the subject topic. Talk to them about that before dinner or after dinner on the side. Also, we just had this election that happened, and that's lovely, but we have to remember that we're in a setting where we have to be kind and polite. And we can still have differences, but be polite to one another about those differences.
So we go to somebody else's house for dinner. What should we bring besides food?
Well, if it's someone you don't know well, you could bring a bottle of wine, or a candle would be a nice hostess gift. Some people bring fresh flowers. You don't want to bring flowers that need to be put in a vase, because it gives the hostess something else to do. So bring them in a vase and say, we brought these for you. That's one good tip. But just a little something. Napkins are a nice thing. Paper goods you could bring, and they could use that later when they're so exhausted after serving you dinner, they can just use paper goods later. But any little thing is a nice little gift to bring to say that you respect that they had worked very hard and you're so glad to have the invitation.
Yeah, and it's always good to send a thank you card after the fact.
Always.
Always.
Yes.
Grace, thank you so much.
I
We could
appreciate
talk
it.
about this forever. There's so much to cover.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
I think we got the Cliff Notes here.
Okay.
The Cliff Notes, yeah.
We can behave.
I hope everybody enjoys their meals this season.
Thank you so much.